Ryan Carter, a millionaire used to luxury, never imagined his life would change, all because of a tiny scratch on his car. The one behind it, Sophia Lane, a simple, independent woman who couldn't care less about money or fame. Between two completely different worlds, can true love withstand society's judgment, family's rejection, and harsh prejudice? If you believe love has the power to transform, this story will touch your heart. Ryan Carter stepped out of a high-end cafe, a steaming espresso in hand. Another typical afternoon in New York, cars rushing by crowded sidewalks and the city's relentless pulse. He was scrolling through emails from business partners when a sharp grating noise cut through the air. Screech. Ryan snapped his head up. His sleek silver Aston Martin now had a long scratch down the door. His jaw tightened as he scanned the area looking for the culprit. Then he saw her. A woman stood frozen nearby, gripping the handlebars of an old bicycle. Her wide, startled eyes said it all: she was responsible. She looked nothing like the polished socialites he was used to. A faded denim jacket, well-worn skinny jeans, and scuffed white sneakers. Her brown hair was hastily tied in a ponytail with loose strands framing her face. But what caught Ryan's attention the most, her eyes sharp gray, full of defiance and independence. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. I was just parking and didn't realize. Ryan glanced at the scratch, then back at her. Normally, he would have been furious. A car like his wasn't just expensive, it was a statement. Repairs would cost a fortune. But instead of anger, he simply raised an eyebrow and asked, "Are you okay?" The woman blinked, clearly surprised by his reaction. I'm fine. But your car? A car can be fixed. You can't." Ryan shrugged and slipped his phone into his pocket. "What's your name, Sophia?" "Sophia Lane." He nodded. "I'm Ryan." She hesitated. "You're not mad?" Ryan smirked. "Would it change anything if I were?" Sophia let out a small laugh, her nervousness fading for the first time. "Probably not." Ryan studied her. She wasn't like the women he usually met, ones who only saw his wealth and status. Sophia seemed like someone who stood on her own, who didn't need anyone's approval. "You live around here?" he asked, half out of curiosity, half wanting to keep the conversation going. She nodded. "I work at a bakery nearby. I bike because it's easier." Ryan glanced at her old bike. It had clearly seen better days. "I'm guessing the bakery business doesn't pay much." She shrugged. "I don't do it for the money. I love baking, and I love seeing people smile when they get their favorite pastries. That's what really matters to me." Ryan was silent for a moment. That was not the kind of answer he was expecting. In his world, everything revolved around power, profit, and prestige. But Sophia, she worked for passion, not wealth. A chilly breeze swept through the street, and she pulled her thin jacket tighter. Ryan noticed she wasn't dressed warmly enough for the weather. "Do you have time for a coffee?" he asked. Sophia narrowed her eyes, skeptical. "Are you asking me out for coffee?" Ryan chuckled. "Think of it as compensation for today's little accident." She studied him for the long moment, then nodded. "Fine. But I get to pick the place." They ended up at a small, cozy cafe on the corner, completely different from the upscale places Ryan usually went to. Sophia ordered a cappuccino while Ryan stuck to his usual espresso. "So, what do you do?" she asked, taking a sip of her drink. Ryan smiled. "I run an investment firm." She raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like something out of a movie. Let me guess. Expensive suits, buying up companies, turning them into empires." He laughed. "Not too far off." Sophia set her cup down and rested her chin on her hand. "Then why aren't you more upset about your car? I thought you'd be yelling at me or calling your lawyer." Ryan was quiet for a moment before answering honestly. "Maybe I'm just tired of chasing things that don't matter. I've met too many people who only see my money and status. But you're different." Sophia didn't respond right away. She was studying him as if trying to figure out if he was serious. Then with a teasing smile, she said, "I'll take that as a compliment." Ryan held her gaze. For the first time in a long while, he felt something real. No pretense, no games, just a simple, honest conversation. By the time they stepped outside, the sky had darkened. Sophia glanced at her watch. "I should get going." Ryan felt a strange sense of reluctance, something he wasn't used to after a brief encounter. "Can I see you again?" he asked. Sophia tilted her head, considering. Then she smiled. "If you happen to stop by the bakery early in the morning, I might just save you the best pastry." Ryan chuckled. "Guess I'll have to make a trip then." Sophia gave him a small wave before pedaling away on her old bike, leaving Ryan standing there. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't thinking about business deals or wealth. He didn't know what it was about Sophia that intrigued him so much. But one thing was clear: this wasn't just a random encounter. And maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something that could change everything. Ryan Carter was not a morning person. Yet the next morning he stood outside the bakery where Sophia worked. Through the glass, warmth radiated from inside, carrying the rich scent of freshly baked pastries and just brewed coffee. Inside, Sophia was busy behind the counter, her hands moving swiftly as she decorated small tarts. She glanced up and saw Ryan leaning against the doorframe. A laugh escaped her lips. "I didn't think you'd actually show up." Ryan shrugged. "I never break a promise." Sophia nodded, grabbed a small tart from the display, and handed it to him. "Here, I saved this for you. But if you think you're getting free food, I might have to charge you a service fee." Ryan chuckled, pulling out his wallet to pay. "So do I get a discount if I become a regular?" Sophia shook her head. "You need to come at least 5 times to qualify." Ryan took a bite. The flaky crust melted in his mouth, buttery and crisp, blending perfectly with the sweet tang of raspberry filling. "This is really good." Sophia raised an eyebrow, her confidence unwavering. "Of course it is. Did you think I was bad at baking?" Ryan laughed. She wasn't trying to impress him, she was simply being herself, and that only made him more intrigued. They talked for a while before the morning rush began pulling Sophia back into work. Ryan left, but the feeling lingered, the urge to return to know more about her. And so he did. At first he told himself it was just curiosity, but he couldn't remember the last time he felt this at ease. His change in routine didn't go unnoticed, especially among those in his elite circle, people who cared only about status, wealth, and appropriate social connections. One evening, at an exclusive financial event, Ryan was chatting with business partners when a familiar voice called out behind him, "You've been disappearing a lot lately." Ryan turned to see Jason Wright, his longtime friend and colleague, watching him with a knowing smirk. Jason folded his arms. "I heard you've been spending time at a bakery." Ryan took a sip of his wine, unfazed. Jason laughed. "Ryan, don't tell me you're actually interested in this girl." Ryan frowned. "She has a name, Jason." "Sophia." Jason shrugged. "Whatever. But don't you think she's a little different from the women you usually date?" Ryan knew exactly what Jason meant. Sophia wasn't a business executive, a billionaire's daughter, or anyone considered a suitable match in their world. He sighed. "I don't see why that concerns you." Jason chuckled, but there was something sharp in his eyes. "Ryan, you're one of the most influential figures in finance. If you start a relationship with someone outside our world," he leaned in slightly, "it'll affect your reputation. Trust me, the media won't ignore this." A surge of irritation rose in Ryan. "I don't need anyone's permission to date whoever I want." Jason smirked. "You can think that, but the world you live in isn't that simple. You can't change the way society works just because of a bakery girl." Ryan gripped his glass tighter but said nothing. Jason wasn't entirely wrong. In just a few days, Ryan had noticed the shift: curious glances, hushed whispers, conversations laced with intrigue about his unusual interest in Sophia. And then the thing he dreaded most happened. One evening, Sophia called him. Something in her voice was off. "Can we meet?" Ryan drove straight to the bakery. When he arrived, she was waiting outside holding a newspaper. Without a word, she handed it to him. Ryan looked down. On the front page was a candid photo of them sitting together at the cafe. The headline read, "Millionaire Ryan Carter and his mismatched romance with the bakery girl." Anger flared inside him. He looked at Sophia. "Are you okay?" She let out a small, humorless laugh. "Just surprised. I didn't think I'd end up in a tabloid." Ryan met her gaze and saw the hurt beneath her calm expression. "Sophia, you know I don't care about any of this, right?" She sighed, looking up at him. "But society cares, and so do the people around you." Ryan took her hand. "That doesn't matter." Sophia held his stare for a long moment as if searching for an answer. Then she shook her head. "I'm not sure it's that simple, Ryan." A tightness formed in his chest. For the first time, doubt crept into her voice, and she seemed to be questioning the distance between their two worlds. And Ryan feared he might lose her. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless. He had always been in control, but with Sophia, this wasn't a deal to be negotiated or a problem that could be solved with money or influence. In the days that followed, he tried to reach her. She didn't push him away, but something had changed. She wasn't as warm as before. There was hesitation in her voice, a quiet distance between them. A wall had begun to rise between them, one that Ryan wasn't sure how to tear down. One evening, Ryan made a decision. He would wait for Sophia after her shift. He stood outside in the crisp autumn air, the glow of the streetlights reflecting off the damp pavement from the earlier rain. When Sophia stepped out, she looked exhausted, yet under the soft light she still carried that quiet radiance that set her apart. She froze when she saw him. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" He took a deep breath. "I need to talk to you, but not here. Will you take a walk with me?" Sophia studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod. They walked slowly through the quiet streets, the city lights shimmering in the puddles left behind by the rain. "I've been thinking a lot about us," Sophia said softly. "And I'm not sure I can keep doing this." Ryan felt his heart sink. "Because of the rumors." She stopped and turned to face him. "Not just them, me. I don't want to lose myself. I love my life, my job, but being with you, it makes everything complicated. I don't want people to see me as someone trying to climb the social ladder, Ryan." Ryan nodded slowly. He understood. But he also knew he couldn't let her walk away. Sophia was quiet, her gaze soft yet filled with hesitation. Ryan took a step closer. "If you're worried about the gap between us, I'll prove to you that it doesn't matter. If you're afraid this is just a fleeting moment, I'll show you I'm serious. But you have to give me a chance." Sophia looked into his eyes, searching, thinking. Finally, she exhaled. "Ryan, if you really want to be with me, you have to accept me for who I am. I don't belong in your world, and I don't want to change myself to fit into it." Ryan smiled gently and took her hand. "I don't want you to change. I want to learn how to live like you, real, unshaped by status. As long as you're with me, I'm willing to change." Sophia held his gaze for a long moment. Then slowly she tightened her grip on his hand. And Ryan knew he had a chance. "So this is the baker my son can't stop talking about." The voice rang out in the elegant room, smooth yet icy. Sophia didn't flinch. She simply smiled, polite yet unwavering. "Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure to meet you." Margaret Carter, Ryan's mother, took a slow sip of her wine, her sharp gaze never leaving Sophia. "Are you sure? Because I don't believe you truly belong in this world." The room tensed. Under the table, Ryan squeezed Sophia's hand, about to speak, but she beat him to it. "Well, that's a relief, ma'am," she said evenly, her voice steady. "Because I'm not here to fit into your world." She met Margaret's gaze head on. "I'm here for Ryan." Margaret hesitated for the briefest moment. Ryan glanced at his mother, then without hesitation laced his fingers through Sophia's, holding her hand firmly in front of everyone. "Mom, I love her, and I don't care what anyone else thinks." The room fell into silence. At last, Margaret gave a slight smile, though she said nothing more. Ryan knew she hadn't accepted Sophia yet, but at least she understood, and that was enough. Despite the challenges, Ryan and Sophia only grew stronger. He slowly distanced himself from the lavish parties and spent more time at the bakery helping whenever he could. One afternoon, as they sat outside the shop, watching customers come and go, Ryan smiled and asked, "What if I opened a bakery with you one day?" Sophia burst out laughing. "You baking? You'd probably set the kitchen on fire." Ryan chuckled. "I could learn." She looked at him, her eyes full of warmth. "Ryan, are you really sure this is the life you want?" He took her hand in his. "If it's with you, then any life is the one I want." Sophia smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. At last, Ryan had found what truly mattered, a love that wasn't bound by wealth status or power, just love. If you were, Sophia, would you be willing to step into an unfamiliar world for love? Or if you were Ryan, would you dare to leave behind the glamour to pursue what truly matters? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could inspire others about love, courage, and the true value of happiness. Thank you for supporting the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to receive the latest updates. The stories are collected from various sources and do not represent any individual or organization. They are shared with the intention of spreading human values in life and have been rewritten with the support of AI. If there are any mistakes, kindly overlook them with understanding. Wishing you all the best in life.